What is up, guys? More lighting, that's the theme of today. Inside this room, I have $1 million esports production going on ESPN2, and I'm gonna walk you behind the scenes of how we put it together from home. Let's take a look. Alright guys, so the first part about this that makes this so daunting for a broadcast like this is essentially something like this would cost about $1 million to put on in the studio where we do it up in Redwood City, but because we're not able to do that, they're trying to get as close as possible because this is airing live on ESPN2. So what they did was, instead of just asking us to use Discord or Skype, and we are using Discord to communicate, but as far as the show, we're sending our feeds to an actual server. So for that, we needed this huge box, which is an LTN box that allows us to directly send the feeds through cables that is on the computer and our audio to a remote server that can then be sent into the Madden production team and then changed for their broadcast. It's pretty crazy. I can show you a little bit about what it was like, but it came in this huge box, and essentially I had to set up like this secondary source. And what this is it's so important to have this running well that they actually went and installed 2 separate internet lines into my home over the course of the last week so that it could run one into here and run one into here. These cables as well, I think you can notice there's one, actually they're both on the front, but you can see these 2 boxes are basically redundant, so if any one breaks, they have an opportunity to go to the other one, or they could just split the internet level so they never lose enough speed, because we need at least 40 upload for this. This front part here is the second internet source, and these 2 cables actually run the feed going from my computer and then going out as well to their server. So it's pretty unique, and I've never dealt with anything like this. It has to stay on all the time. So for the last week, this has literally been on. Whether you go to the bathroom at night, whether you have to walk in, it's hot, it's loud, but that has been part of the journey of this broadcast. Now, this all actually started, let me come down here, with boxes. Boxes and boxes and boxes. If you guys can see this, I'm not lying, this is not even half of the boxes I have been sent over the last 2 weeks. And each one of them, from a chair to a monitor, it's still in here, by the way. We still have a monitor in here, as well as all of these different things have been either used by me, put into storage, or put into my room, which there are more boxes in my room, in order to put together this broadcast. It was pretty daunting, I think, to have this. It was kind of like, you know, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory at first, when boxes kept showing up to your door with cool equipment, but then it got a little overwhelming. So that's the only place we can store them as of now. All right, so you walk into the hallway, the boxes are in there. You've got our LTN box. In that room is my room where all the broadcast stuff is, and we're gonna do a tour in a second. But first, let me show you how they hooked up all of these internets. We mentioned that there was like an internet system, and you see this wire running all the way down on the floor. This is actually the internet wire and the cable they sent me to power up that LTN box. But again, not the first one, the second one. This is the living room, and we had to install a secondary internet source in here. Had to have specialists come in during COVID, all wearing masks, all wearing gloves, but you know, needless to say, it was a surprise. I didn't even know. People just knock on my door and say, "Hey, we're here for the internet." I'm like, "Huh?" It's like, "Yeah, EA sent us." So they're taking this very, very, very seriously. These are a couple boxes that they've actually sent for us to pack up the stuff and send things like the computer and send things like the Sennheiser headset back to them. Although I'm trying to get a courier to do that because I do not feel confident with my packing skills, guys. I'm not the most organized person in the world. And now it's time to get into, obviously, the big show, the room, the equipment that they've actually sent and how I'm using it. So let's go. All right, guys, so welcome to the in-home studio for a $1 million production. Now, it may not seem like a lot, but there is so many little things in this room that I think contribute to this being possible that you wouldn't know what they are. So I'm gonna walk you through everything regarding the setup. It's an amazing attempt. And first let's start I guess with the stuff that I had here. So I had my Alienware laptop, which is a brand new kind of Alienware laptop that I've got hooked up to this Alienware 240 hertz monitor. Now this is mine, it's got Twitch chat on it, but on this monitor I'm using it as basically through my normal home internet as like a backup source for things like teleprompter. Here you have some emergency script that I'll be reading that usually is on here for their program feed. And also I have things like the match schedule, obviously my Google, and things like that that allow me to find a way to, you know, if I need to go to a second monitor for information or for a backup, then, you know, I'll be able to do it. Over here, the first big thing you're gonna see is this, and this is a backdrop that actually we had to put together. It came in just two big pulls. My dad and I helped me to, you know, put this together in a pretty unique way. And what ends up happening, I don't really want to take it out here, but you can see here, this is actually just folded over itself and pushed in. So everything just kind of blends in really nice. And when you fold it over itself, it creates this smooth sheen. So you really do look like you've almost got that 3D, really clean, crisp effect that you're used to on national television for ESPN. It's really simple and really nice, even though it looks huge and daunting, and it has to live in my room for like a month and a half. Down here though is where things get kind of really interesting, and this is kind of what started the journey. You can see I've got two separate splitters right here and even a little mini splitter right there, and they're all pretty much connecting the internet. So this is the first internet box that they sent me. They essentially wanted to do something called business class internet, which is in case you are using internet that's not on a private line, like it's not dedicated just to your house, business class allows them to prioritize that you get the fastest speeds before it goes down the line to anybody else. So they installed not one, but two of those. One is in my room, and it leads to that LTN box outside, and then another one's in our living room. But we've got 1,000 gigabytes, we've got 1,000 megabytes down, and we've got actually, I believe, 40 megabytes up. So that should be enough. It has been enough for the shows thus far. Right here is a chair they sent me. I got a little pillow on it. No idea why this pillow is that. It's my brother's. But this is kind of the main command center where I sit. And I've got all these things on the left-hand side set up. The cool thing about this production that you guys might not know is that most of it was done remotely. Although this stuff is like all that I installed, they actually, through that laptop that they sent me, take control over it and adjust my mic, they adjust my levels. So let's talk about the mics. So I'm a host, I'm an analyst, I'm a reporter. Pardon the toes, the feet, but right now, I'm usually working on something called a lav. Casters will wear things like this, which is a headset, which if you follow me in Paladins, I wore every day for our pro leagues and things like that. And I even have a box where it allows you to talk back to the producer if you need to say something, hey, you know, I gotta go to the bathroom, or you're around, or cough, like someone comes in your room or you need to cough, you press that, they mute your audio for just a second, goes back to normal. But I usually use these lavs, which are essentially things you can tie up right here, mini mics that allow you to not have anything on your head while you're doing it. It's just kind of, they're both good mics, but really this is what you would use for like broadcast because of the fact that you want to look clean, you want to look normal. A desk wouldn't typically have people wearing the headsets, but some esports companies still do it. I know Hi-Res does a lot of that with desks, but I think lavs are really where most traditional TVs are. Now this is an IFB. Now what is cool about this production, like different than Apex Legends, which I've done as well, is that most of the production communication happens on Discord, where we have a server, they're telling us through chat, or we're listening and actually in the Discord server while we're talking. But what's great is that in this production, they're treating it like a real studio production. So Drew, our coordinating producer, is actually in my ear live and talking to all the other talent in their homes through this. Now how does this get to me, and then that other guy and be split and all that? Well, let's go to this box. Let me show you how all that works down here. Now this is probably the most daunting thing that anybody can send you in a box, guys. Like if anybody sends you all those wires and says put them together, you are not gonna be happy about it, at least unless you're, you know, a tech wizard. I am pretty good with tech, but not that good. So we had to be walked through several days in advance, step by step on how to install every single one of these. Now this, as you can see, has all of these cables that lead into all of the different connections through something called a whip. And this whip allows us to take all the feeds coming from my mic, my lav, which is this right here, excuse me, my lav mic, my IFB, which I hear people from, and take it into a signal that then is output to a server through these things right here, and through that LTN box that runs all the way to a server in Missouri. So in Missouri, through these boxes, they're picking up what Drew is saying and then isolating that feed and running it through these cables to my ear every time he wants to talk to me with something called a switcher, where he presses a button, it's already linked up to do that line and route of communication, and he talks to me. So it's kind of a lot of work to do, a lot of buttons, but it's actually pretty simple to set up when they walk you through it. This Rolly is essentially how I got Program Monitor, and what that means is that when you're doing a production, you need to see what's happening. You need to see what shot they're putting on. You need to see, what you're doing, even if it's at the corner of your eye. And for me, as a host, I need to see prompter. And that's probably the hardest part, and that's what leads us to this. So during the show, they'll have like a 2-box or a 1-box here where there's just a prompter feed that I'm reading, and they're scrolling down actively for me. Certain studio setups will have a prompter over this camera so that it looks like you're seamlessly looking into what you're actually talking to. But this situation, it's remote. Probably the only thing that's not like full studio standard, I had to be reading it from here. Under these 3, they're sending me feeds of the games, the players, and all those things I need to pay attention to in case I need to see some action there, or I need to know where we're going to next for the broadcast. And obviously, one of the biggest things about this broadcast is the camera. And you look at this, and it's honestly one of the best cameras I think I've ever used. It's a Sony A7 III. I had some people ask me about whether this camera is good or not, and whether they would use it again, or whether they should use it. My recommendation is absolutely. Not only is this camera amazing, every piece of equipment they sent is probably the best thing you could do if you want to be a streamer or a YouTuber. It's hooked up with a battery pack, an extra battery charger, so it never has to be used. No batteries need to be used. It can just be plugged in directly. And you also have this Manfrotto, essentially like little handle that allows you to go up and down and backwards and just stay very, very tight. That clamps onto the back of the desk, so you get that perfect angle right behind. You lift up this a little bit, and it kind of looks like you're reading directly into the camera. But other than that, guys, what I'll do is sit down, and my normal workflow will be using this IFB, and I'll have all the information that I need basically on my iPad or in some notes. Okay, so the lights were a big thing, and actually they sent me a lighting pack, but it goes to show that if you like what I've done on my channel or my stream or my setup, this lighting pack actually wasn't really needed for me, because I already had a lighting pack that they liked better than the ones they sent. So good to know. This is a Savage lighting kit, and you can get it for about $200 at Best Buy. That's what I spent it on. I picked it up with a mask on and everything in my car, and it comes with this, which with this remote you can turn off, turn on, you can turn brighter, you can turn dimmer, and allows you to really set a great space for this to be well lit. And this is an Elgato key light, which is basically serving as my main light for my face, and also a main light for the top of this background to even things out. Well, that's pretty much what we used for this broadcast, and it was pretty impressive how well they allowed us to put it together. A lot of these guys have never used tech before. They've never used anything like high-level equipment or cameras, but ultimately it was all required for us to be able to send all this great stuff that we're doing from this camera to this box, to this server at a high enough level so that they could take all our home feeds and really produce a great live TV version of it for ESPN. That wouldn't look like it's a webcam show, or wouldn't look like it's, Xbox graphics really blown up, so that's distorted and not as clear as they wanted to. So they basically sent, I think, 15 to 20 of these kits all around the United States, as well as all the equipment from the producers to be able to get this done. Pretty impressive, and also I have nowhere else to put it. So I think this will be here in my room for about a month and a half. I'm really looking forward to that. I have really no idea what's going on there, but hey, it's the life that I'm living right now, and good thing is that we are on ESPN another time on May 16th, if you guys want to check that one out. So we just had our broadcast pushed back by about 2 hours, which happens, especially when you're working with all this equipment remote. But good thing about that is, see a little bit right here, you can actually play Apex Legends for the 2 hours that I'm on break. So the benefits of doing a broadcast like this from home. So the entire broadcast right now is actually on break, and we've been on break for about 3 hours. We've had some crazy delays, and I think that's part of the issue with the technical side of doing something so big from home, that, you know, all these delays, all these things where you could call engineers, you could call people right away to get on the problem, it's so delayed because we're working with people who are in Missouri right now, and then our main producers in, you know, California, we've got people on the East Coast, we've got people on the West Coast, and so the process of putting this on is actually really intricate. So part of the hard part, I think, about being a broadcast talent, especially like from work from home, is simply being ready at all times. It's kind of like a weird situation because if I go to you know, a usual studio or a place where I'm flying in, I'm staying in a hotel, my body and my brain, they kind of know to be on. You know, we kind of all know, you know, if you fly somewhere, you're doing work somewhere out, you're like kind of alert and you expect that. But when you're at home, we have all these tendencies to like relax, put on our PJs, you know, like chill basically. And the issue that I'm coming across most is kind of how to stay alert while there's all this downtime, you know, and then the second they need me, I gotta be ready to go. So it's a lot of like, you know, going to the living room, making things like, you know, some iced tea I'll make for myself, but then my phone's right next to me and I'm like, all right, I gotta be ready to jump in the seat and go live in a second. So it's some of the hidden things you don't really see about broadcasts. So yeah, so like that's a challenge. Another challenge of doing this is energy. You know, you don't often have the same level of energy when you're live in front of many human beings staring at you, lights and cameras, as you would in your own room. So getting that energy yourself and somehow turning that into what is relatable then to what a camera is, it's a lot like streaming. And if you've ever streamed before, you know that this can be a challenge to suddenly become energetic. You may need some caffeine, you may G Fuel whenever you turn your, you know, your start streaming button on your OBS. So luckily I've had a lot of practice streaming and doing that with YouTube, with all of you guys at the Rainstorm and anybody who's watching, you know, Raynday Gaming or any of my YouTube channels. I had a lot of practice, but there's a lot of guys who I think it's tough to switch, you know, turn that switch on, but everybody's doing a great job so far. The big thing about this delay though is hopefully that it's fixed and all these problems are ready for ESPN2, because that's the big deal. We're live for about 3 to 4 hours tomorrow on ESPN2, and we're hoping we can get this fixed. If we can't, I have no idea what we're gonna do for tomorrow. But I'm praying, hoping that the show goes off with a hitch. You know, a lot of people already know that I'm gonna be on it, you know, fit friends and family. So I'm definitely hoping things go well, but you never know in these types of situations. So right now I'm just sitting, I'm praying. I'm like, please, please come back online, please. You know, you might think doing a stay-at-home broadcast is really easy. Like, you know, you get to be home, what's wrong about that? And you might be right about some aspects of it, but let me assure you that there's a lot that you're not considering that makes it quite challenging for your normal person, or especially even your broadcast talent, someone who's been doing this for many years like I have. The first thing that's crazy is all of the equipment. All that equipment is remotely controlled. So a lot of that stuff is basically stuff they can see that I can't. So imagine having a camera in your room on 24/7, microphones in your room, everything you say, see, there's a chance it could be leaking out to hundreds of people on the back end. And not that I'm doing anything crazy, it's just that you feel like you're lacking privacy. The second thing is space. A lot of people like a cleanly room. We all talk about how we feel better when we're not cluttered, but when you are in a room with all that equipment, there's only so much space where it can go, and it starts to make everything feel really crowded and cramped. So it's hard to get a clear mental flow when your room is just full of boxes and every inch is covered with wires. So I think that would be challenging for anyone. And it's definitely been a challenging part of this. Just the space that I have is so limited now. The third thing is sleep. Not only, it kind of has to do with space, but the fact that I have to sleep with all of this equipment on, the LTN box on, the fan whirring, the lights on, the camera on. Yes, I could put my camera lens cap on, but it's still live, it's still active. My mics can still be active. I think what's interesting is that it's a little bit of a harder time going to sleep. I like no noise really. It's hot in the room because of all the equipment. So, yeah, there's a lot of great things about it, but there are a few things that are pretty challenging about this situation. Fourth, I'd say the other thing that's actually really some of the most challenging aspects mentally is that none of this equipment is actually mine. All of this is loaned out to me through EA. And I think that's one of the cool parts about it. Like, yeah, we get to experiment with all this cool equipment. For a lot of people who've never done it, like my Madden bros, a lot of them have just played on Xbox their whole life. So a Sony a7 III, all these crazy audio things, they've never done that. But for me, who's been streaming, who I have my own Canon camera that I'm shooting out of right now, it was kind of similar, but it was just a lot. A lot of it was redundant. I got 3 Elgato key lights now. I've got, 2 DSLR cameras. I've got 3 microphones in here. I've got 4 preamps, and I've got 5 microphones in there. So it's a lot to keep track of, and anything can happen. I take a slip, I spill a drink, that's thousands of dollars of equipment that I could be breaking that I'd be responsible for. So it's kind of a lot. Like, I know that it seems like it's easy, but it's also, there's a lot of hidden pressures about it. Yeah, one of the biggest things about the challenge is the family dynamic. Like, if you live with someone else, a roommate, girlfriend, or a family, this is taking up a lot of space. There's a lot of sacrifice from a lot of the family members to help support this, from being really quiet next door, my sister's gotta be super quiet, to everyone being really willing to have all these cords and boxes in the living space that we all share. It's been a group effort to bring this together and to make it happen, but I'm glad that it's going well, and hopefully we can keep it going. We just gotta get on air. Lastly, obviously, the benefit is that you can do all of this from home. So you don't have to drive anywhere, you don't have to fly, you don't have to set yourself up for anything that could be inconvenient as far as like a physical task of moving. And the other cool thing is, you get to see, your family, people like, my brother and mom and dad who, you take a little break, you get to see people and interact, hopefully, which is different than, when you're usually in a situation where you're at studio, you're at location, you can't leave until you're done. So that is a really nice change of pace. And ultimately, it kind of all balances each other out, because to be in the comfort of your home, putting out something for ESPN or a very high level broadcast, but at the end of the day, there are some challenges that you may not see until kind of me explaining the behind the scenes stuff from it. Still all good though, still really, really positive.
And my best brother.
Hey buddy.
Hey bro.
The benefits of working from home.
Best brother.
Hanging out with my brother.
My brother.
My brother.
Okay, what is that?
It's a camera.
It has a camera for your fat? Yeah.
Because I'm fat? Wow. Really?
What else?
What else?
Maybe one day you like big up to Cuba?
One day I'm gonna wake up in Cuba?
Yeah.
You gonna
Okay.
send them there?
I'm gonna send you back to Cuba now.
Okay, that's just rude.
And I'm saying that
People are gonna see this. They're gonna know.
I'm gonna throw you back to Cuba and throw you into hot lava.
Hot lava and in Cuba?
Yeah.
While you watch freaking Young and Hungry, man?
Oh man.
I love you too, by the way, so is Josh.
In your robe, chilling.
I miss watching my favorite show right now.
You don't tell her.
All right, man.
All right, 1 minute. Got it working. About 4-hour delay, but we're here. Let's go. Welcome to our live coverage of the Madden NFL 20 Last Chance Qualifier. Our first match features 2 Madden pros battling online from their homes in the bracket for Xbox One. The winner takes one step closer to the Madden Bowl. Hey there everybody, Evan Raynday here. We'd like to welcome you back. Thank you all for your patience today, and for those of you who've been waiting for our stream to start this afternoon. Like many of you these days, I am coming to you live from my home, as will all of our casters and players this weekend. The new normal has changed the way everyone does business these days, and Madden Competitive is no exception. The LCQ is literally the last chance to join that field of 16 to chase Madden Competitive's most coveted championship. And so here is what the 4 Xbox One Madden pros will be playing for today. As we push the gameplay in our first matches of the afternoon, a reminder that the LCQ has been double elimination. So let's get this Madden gameplay party started. To dive deeper into all of today's matches, let's kick it for the first time to our virtual caster's desk with James Coe, Serious Mo, and one great user. James? Day 2. Just woke up. 6:30 a.m. Tired, but excited. Today is ESPN2 day. We've been preparing all week, really, for this, and it's pretty cool. So, a little nervous, but a little excited. You know, got a lot of people watching and paying attention to it. First off, though, I gotta just keep drinking my lemon water. I just woke up a little tired. But I've been there. Luckily, I have some homemade. I said, yeah, the goods. Thank you, ma. The joys of living at home while doing a studio broadcast. That's good stuff. So yeah, today's about to be lit. It's about to be cool. As you guys can see on the back end, I basically have everything set up a little bit like to the side so that I have room to actually sleep. My bed used to face a completely different direction, guys, which is pretty hilarious. We had to flip it out. Yeah, it's been wild, man, but it's been a really good experience so far. And yesterday's show went great. We started late, but we ended up being on time for ourselves, saying, you know, we rescheduled, we told everybody at a certain time, we pushed it back again, but then we hit that second time, which was good. Really no technical hiccups throughout the show. The only issue is that my prompter was not really connecting to my eyeline a lot because they didn't send me a real prompter. And so you'll see that today, that's gonna be my main focus right here. Getting this camera so that it looks natural while I'm reading something probably like right about here on the screen to look like I'm actually staring in the camera. Typically for prompters, you'll see a piece right here, or you'll even see a piece that essentially goes over the lens and is underneath, reflecting up above it, so that you're literally looking into the lens while reading and the lens can't see that. That's the big one. If anything, I wouldn't say I'm nervous, I would just say that, you know, I don't want it to look like I'm reading as much as it does right now. So, you know, we're trying to improve that for the broadcast today. So, thumbs up. Let's hopefully make sure it comes out good, looking good on ESPN2. I tell you this, it's kind of surreal because, I mean, it's happening, so I'm just going with it. But not a lot of people get to go live and do a live show on ESPN. You know, ESPN, ESPN2. I've been working with guys who are in this industry for a long time, and some of them, it's their first time ever going live on ESPN2 or ESPN. So it's a big achievement. It's really cool. It's not just have shows being done, but also really be there, be live on the scene. So I'm excited about that. All right, so now we've got rehearsals. All right, so now we've got to check in at 50. Wow, you can tell how tired I am, huh? Anyways, I'm gonna start waking up. Check-in is in 15 minutes. I gotta go. Good seeing you. I'll see you in a little bit. All right, so we have a 30-minute break right now before we start. The TV's on in the background because the Road to the Madden Bowl shows are actually playing right now. This is just a commercial, but you know, live on ESPN2, it's pretty exciting. Even seeing some of the interviews that I've done and like past Madden stuff on there, and all the narration that was done by me at home. And we're actually going live for rehearsal in live in like 45 minutes, but I gotta be back in my chair in 30. So I'm just hanging out here watching this in my living room while it's on until then.
Welcome back to the Road to the Madden Bowl. In his first full season in competitive Madden, 17-year-old Henry qualified for all
Does it sound like me?
four majors.
It is me.
An outstanding achievement for any player, let alone a junior in high school. The last two majors have been disappointing. Now, he's laser focused on winning his first belt at the upcoming Madden Bowl.
Hey there, and welcome to our 3 hours of live coverage of the Madden NFL 20 Last Chance Qualifier. I'm Evan Rayner, also known to some as Raynday. Special shout out to our audience on ESPN2, who has been enjoying an afternoon devoted to Madden original content, including the Madden NFL 20 Celebrity Tournament.
For now, you know, I'm just living in the moment. I'm so happy to just keep playing because right now, this is the funnest this game has been for me all year, and I'm feeling super nice.
I love the passion, man. It's like, you know, the easiest interview I've ever done on here. You're talking, you know, for hours. I love it. Before we get going, though, we've got a lot happening in the future, and you mentioned it right there. Speaking of that game against D-Croft, coming up in the next hour, some thoughts ahead, looking forward to him. He's been playing really well on the Xbox side of things.
If I lose that game, oh well. If I win that game, you know, even better. But we'll just see how it works out.
Thank you so much, Potman. Always awesome catching up with you. Let's send it back to James. Get us ready for that seed match we've been talking about. All right, well, that's that's that. Got a little more, but you know, at least the ESPN portion's done, which is good. It's good. It went well. You know, we ran a little over, but it was nice to get it done, man, without a real hitch on at least my side, anybody's side. So that was good. That was good. Poppins in the ball. Good stuff, man. All right, so finally today ended. We're still doing the broadcast, but the ESPN portion is done, and we did a great job. We really did. It was a huge, tremendous effort, guys, to put all this together on the back end, and honestly, countless nights and days of setup and preparation for, you know, 3 hours on broadcast. And I think if anything, this video should give you an idea of what the new normal could be for broadcast, and what I think a lot of gaming companies and esports and even traditional media are trying to do as fast as possible. I think EA has done a great job of innovating in that. But the second part is, I think it should hopefully give you a behind the scenes of how much effort goes in to putting these broadcasts on, from people's time, people's personal space, effort, focus, energy. Hopefully, you know, if you watch my channel and you see, oh, Raynday's gone, why hasn't he posted a video? Or if you see me traveling and think, oh, well, he could stream when he's at his hotel, and kind of understand how much effort and energy it really goes into putting something like this on, and how I think it is very hard to multitask. And so I'm kind of privileged, and I'm really blessed to be able to have a community that I can kind of do esports with and build that career path, while also doing YouTube and streaming and content and building that career path, and really being kind of this best of both worlds to bring, you know, all of you, you know, kind of both sides of the coin, right? What it's like to be on the side of having made games and been a part of that process, to casting games at the highest level, to making content for newer players and beginners, and really provide an overall great view of what it's like to do all of them here at Raynday Gaming. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this tour and what it's like. If you did like it, please consider supporting this video by liking it. Share it if you think it's cool for somebody who wants to kind of know the behind the scenes of esports, or maybe wants to get into it, has been thinking about it. And of course, subscribe. Like, I don't plan on doing this often. This isn't my everyday style of content. But if you guys like it, if you guys interact with it, and you know, I think it works well on the channel, I may do these more often, and especially just behind the scenes, esports, maybe soccer stuff, all these things that maybe might be a cool little glimpse if you really knew what was going on to make it all happen. Alright guys, so at the end of a long day of broadcast, 2 days actually, and a week of putting it together, it's all come to an end. Our first ESPN broadcast got great reviews, great appreciation from ESPN, and also I think all the guys had a lot of fun. We still have a Madden Bowl though, like I mentioned, on May 16th, and until then, I'll be sleeping with this stuff in my room, but hopefully all this other stuff will be turned off until I need it, and I'll just be kind of hanging out, watching some Apex Legends, playing, making some more YouTube videos, and enjoying that. But for now, all these notes, they go away, and it's time for Raynday to become Robe Day, and end the day. Thanks so much for watching. Never give up, never stop gaming. I will see you all next time.